So what do you do after you finish a mega build? Well, you build an evil Weevil, of course. Don't go away. Hello everybody and welcome to Fat Guy Productions. I am Paul, coming to you as always from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And yeah, it just seems like a given that mega build, evil Weevil. I don't even think there's any alternatives there. It's just mega build, evil Weevil. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. And I have an evil Weevil here that I ordered online, Fleabay, and it's actually pretty good. But I didn't notice something very vital about it, and that is it's missing its rear engine. Let's get this in here. Can you see that? It's missing its rear engine, and look at this. It kind of, it's all flipperty. Yeah, that's not a good thing. So what do? You get an evil Weevil, and it's missing an integral part. And there are replacements out there, but they don't look like they're very good. So now, what do? Well, I order another evil Weevil. And I got this red one. And it's actually pretty nice shape. And it makes me wonder if I really want to take this one apart. The sticker's got to come off. It needs cleaning and polishing and stuff. But man, this is a pretty nice evil Weevil. And I'm very hesitant to take that apart. So what do? Of course, you order another one. And this one looks like a viable candidate for disassembly. I gotta see what that little sticker is there. Number 8. Look at these little stickers. I think, oh, there's a little champion one. I gotta put some of this back on here. So you know what I have to do first? If you've watched me for any length of time, you know where I'm gonna head with this. I'm going to get some pictures. All right, so let's go ahead and get this evil Weevil project underway. All right, so while we get this casting apart, let me just kind of explain something to you. If you recall in a very recent video, I was doing the bifocal, and I was explaining to you about crumblers. Now, crumblers were castings that had a bad batch of metal, and they were literally crumbling apart. And they were all out of the 1971 collection. And yes, the Evil Weevil is a 71, but it was not a crumbler, okay? So it's still a desirable casting. They're not easy to come by, but it is not a crumbler. So we've got this casting, and we're going to go ahead and take it apart using all of the normal techniques. Shielded drilling to get rid of the rivets. Now, these rivets, yes, they're both the posts for the front and the back motors. There are no posts in the body itself, just in the motors, which is kind of a pain in the neck because drilling out these motors is not fun. But anyhow, here's one. It's out. We'll go ahead and get the other one out, and then we'll get them ready. Can you see how badly bent that is? Yeah, that's going to be an issue. With the head of the second engine's post drilled off, we can go ahead and pop it out. And now the casting is ready to come apart into its component pieces. We've got the two motors. We'll put them off this side. And now the body just lifts right off. And we can see the base. It's just one of those plastic board suspension systems. The wheels are cap-style wheels. and a nice base. Put that off to the side. And then inside we have the interior and glass, and the glass actually has the little working sunroof in it. So we'll do something special with that, and we'll talk about it when we get to it. And then we've got the interior, and of course, the evil Weevil body. Now, since I don't have any posts to deal with on the body whatsoever, I can just go and immediately drop it into the citrus strip. So we're just going to kind of scoop it on in there and let the citrus strip do its thing and get all this stuff off of the casting. Now, I recently showed you some of the things I got from Display, and here is one of them being put to use. This is the little clamp that I bought from Display, and it's going to be perfect for holding these motors because the motors are very small, and you still have to drill into them and do all this stuff to them, and it's very nerve-wracking because if you've ever run a drill bit into your hand, you'll know what I'm talking about. It hurts like hell because it doesn't just stab you. It goes in and twists up and grinds up all the meat. It's very painful. You don't ever want to do it. And so once you've done it once, you get kind of gun shy. So this little clamp is going to be perfect for holding the motor and give me a little more room so that when I'm doing the drilling, it's a little bit safer. So I've got the motor chucked up into this little clamp, and I'm going to prep the end of the post using my Vix Bit. With the end of the post all cleaned up and dimpled, I can now go ahead and drill down into it. And it's always better to make sure you go a little deeper than not enough. You know, not enough is a headache, and you know it's somewhere you don't want to be. If you can fix it with a washer, that's fine, but you don't want to have to go back in later, like after you've tapped it, and try and drill out some more. So just go deep enough. And what I like to do is after I'm done drilling, I get like one of my little dental picks, and I'll take and just probe into the hole and see how far down it goes. And if I'm happy with it, then I'm good. If not, I'll drill a little bit more. But yeah, you don't want to have to come back later and deal with this. So I'm satisfied with the depth. Now I can go ahead and tap out the post. All right, so once the post is tapped out, I go ahead and put a screw in. Now, normally I put the screw in just to make sure everything is working right and to protect the post. Here, it's not going to be so important because this motor isn't going to get thrown into a thing of stripper or painted or anything like that. But it's still nice to put the screw into the tapped out post just to make sure everything is good to go. Okay, so the motors are ready and the base needs a little attention. So I'm going to use my Flitz calcium lime and rust, and I'm going to just get my little tub. I keep this little tub separate, plop the casting or the parts that I want to clean up a little bit, and then I just blast them with a little bit of the spray and quickly put the lid on it so I don't choke to death, because that stuff is harsh. And you really should be wearing a mask. And I'm going to be honest, I did not put one on here. Shame on me. I caught a little wisp of it, and yeah, I had to stop for a while to choke and cough. So make sure you're wearing a mask if you're using that stuff because it's very, very harsh. Now, let's turn our attention to this glass piece because it's got a little sliding sunroof in it, and I told you we're going to have to do it a little bit different, and here's why. When I did the Evel Knievel Evil Weevil, I did dunk my glass into gauzy, and it kind of gummed up all around the sunroof, and it was a problem. Now, you could just strategically dunk it to get the front and sides and rear and stuff, but I'm not going to do that at all. No gauzy whatsoever. So that means I've got to do a really good job on polishing this. So I'm going to start by using a 3000 grit sanding sponge and wet sand all of the glass surfaces to make sure they're nice and smooth. Okay, once I'm done with the sanding, I'm going to turn to the magic of Flitz. This stuff will do anything. I think if you tossed a tube into your garage and said, build a car, I think it could build a car. This stuff is great. It does everything, and it handles polishing plastic up like nobody's business. So I'm going to put a little dab on there. I'm just going to make a little buffing cloth, and I'm just going to buff this glass out until it shines like a new penny, and then we'll set it aside. All right, I got the base out of the Flitz. I've washed it off really good to make sure that the Flitz is all gone, because if it's still on there, it can continue to react with the metal. You don't want that. So you got to wash it really thoroughly after you get it out. Now I'm going to hit it with the brass bristle brush. And sometimes that's all a base needs. I often don't stop here. I will polish with Flitz just to take it that one extra step. But a lot of times the bases look fantastic just with the Flitz and a brass bristle brush. Today I am going to polish this sucker, but first step is always brass bristle brush. Okay, so we are going to polish up the base and the motors, and we're going to use Flitz and my rotary tool with a buffing wheel on it, and just a couple little dabs. I work from one end to the other, so a couple dabs on there, and then I just work it in with the rotary tool, and later I'll come back and buff this all out. So whenever you're using the rotary tool, you really need to be thorough and make sure you come at the base from every direction. With the bristles always spinning in one direction, if you never turn the piece around, you're going to have gaps in the details where the brush can't get to, and those are going to show up. So I go one way, then I go the other way. I really kind of angle the brush in different ways, and just really am cognizant about getting into every nook and cranny as I go along. It's takes a little bit of extra time, but it pays off in the end. Now, one last thing. I already know that I'm replacing the wheels. So even cap-style wheels, hub-style wheels, doesn't matter to me. I always make sure I keep the wheels on that I'm going to replace, and I'll deal with them later, because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to protect either the hub or the back of the cap-style wheel. So I leave the junky ones on until the base is 100% done, then I can take those off. So after a mondo polishing session, using the rotary tool in every possible direction, I'm very happy with how it worked out. Now I'm just going to polish it out to a high shine using a microfiber cloth. Okay, so cap style wheels. I just want to show you this a little bit closer. The cap style wheels are really, really great. They're easy to refresh with new caps. And all you're concerned about is the little back disc. And what happens is The cap snaps onto the back piece. The back piece is permanently attached to the axle. So what we have to do is we've got to separate the cap from the back, and to do that we just run an X-Acto knife into the little groove, kind of work it down in there, and once it gets in between the two parts, a little twist and the cap will pop right off. Then it's a simple matter of taking a new one and snapping it on. These are fabulous. I can't rave about them enough. They're my favorite, and they just make this so much easier. All right, so I hate the antifreeze green. And what I mean by that is I don't hate it. I love it. Everybody loves the antifreeze. Okay, it's a great color, and everybody loves antifreeze colored castings. I hate painting with it. Here's the thing. It's like a magnifying lens for any impurities or things that don't look right in the casting. And it's virtually impossible to take one of these zillion-year-old castings and get it to look nice enough to do the antifreeze justice. Okay, it's always going to bring out some detail that you couldn't see and missed, and then you're like, well, do I live with it? Do I repaint it or whatever? Blah 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 blah. And I just don't like painting with it. But in this instance, that was the original color of the casting, and it did polish up really, really nicely. So I am going to paint antifreeze, which I hate. I actually pulled out another antifreeze car and set it on top of the paint booth so I could reference it and kind of not overshoot. Because if you put too many layers on, you're going to change the color dramatically. So I had a reference car, and I'm just going to lay this on in my normal manner, tack coats, medium coats, wet coats, and let it dry. Okay, with that antifreeze green nice and dry on my casting, I can go back to the paint booth, and I'm going to go ahead and put my clear coat on. And for the clear coat, I'm going to do it the exact same way I do with the paint, except I'm not going to slow down in between coats very long at all. I'm going to go tack coats, medium coats, wet coats, but there's going to be just the shortest amount of time in between layers, because I've found that that helps make sure I don't get any pinholes in the clear coat. So again, tack coats, medium coats, wet coats, but with a very short time in between each layer. All right. The base is done, wheels are replaced, glass is polished, car is shiny, everything's ready to go. Let's slap this sucker together. So I decided to put it together the way it came out, and I'm going to just kind of attach the glass to the interior and put it back in as one piece. That's how it came out. That's how I'm going to put it back in, and that's going to work fantastic. It's just a little friction fit. They just kind of snug together, and they're perfect, and you just drop it in there. After that, we can go ahead and set the base into place. And then both motors get run through the little holes that go through both the body and the base. And then we run the screws in and lock everything together. One final issue is when you tighten the screws down, sometimes the motors can twist and not be lined up straight. So just take a little pair of pliers, kind of line things back up and retighten the screw, and you're good to go. Well, anyhow, the casting is done. Now we can take a look and see what we have. All right, there you have it. The Evil Weevil in antifreeze. I think it looks fantastic. This is a really fun casting. I had a good time doing this one, and it's going to look great over in my collection there. It's just fun, and it's my first Evil Weevil if you don't count the Evel Knievel Evil Weevil. So, yeah, I was excited to do this. I love it, and I hope you love this video. If you did, please give it a giant thumbs up, click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss one of my videos. As always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I just love to hear from you guys. All right, that's going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope the rest of your day is full of successful efforts and fun things in your life. And until next time, this is Paul from Fat Guy Productions saying, be good.